The ash came down like dry snow. It dusted the blackened armor of Private First Class Jake Rios as he leaned against the side of the troop crawler, boots up, eyes half-lidded. His helmet sat beside him, cracked, scuffed, irrelevant now. "You know," he said, lighting a cigarette with a shaky hand, "I used to think war had rules." Corporal Dina Miles snorted beside him. She was still wiping the red off her visor. Not her blood. Not theirs. "No rules here," she muttered. "Just rehearsal." They were sitting on the grave of the Talvarn, once Earth's closest allies, now vaporized crust. The cities gone, oceans boiled, sky a smear of gray rage. Dina flicked a chip of burnt metal off her armor. It used to be part of a Talvarn child's learning sphere, educational tech, now melted into slag. "Council did this," Jake said, voice quiet. "They didn't just kill soldiers, they ended songs, stories, all of it." Dina didn't answer. She just pointed to the horizon. A glow was building. No sound, just rising white on the edge of a ruined world. Behind them, the crawler's command. Interface crackled. A voice filtered through. Calm, clipped human. Target lock confirmed. Earth directive. Initiate recompense protocol. Jake stood, tossed the cigarette into the ash. "No speeches?" Dina asked. He smiled, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. "We did speeches before. They didn't listen." Another voice came through. This time, deeper, filtered through command lines none of them controlled. "Recompense protocol verified. T-minus 60 seconds. Stand by." Jake looked out again. "I hope the council's watching." "They are," Dina said, tapping her visor. "Intercepted 7 satellites, broadcasting this live." A high-pitched hum sliced through the silence. Not mechanical, not natural, ancient, wrong. The glow at the horizon pulsed, and then erupted. Pillar of blue fire roared skyward, turning the clouds to glass. The crust buckled. Orbiting debris cracked like dry bones. And somewhere far above, in the council chamber orbiting Kale Sur Prime, a dozen alien leaders stared at their screens. In silence. Jake didn't flinch. Dina leaned closer and whispered, "That was just one drone." He nodded. "This isn't war." She raised an eyebrow. "It's a message." The council had demanded Earth kneel for harboring disobedient species. They called Talvarn a rogue protectorate. They erased them in hours. Earth didn't hold a summit. They held their breath. And then they answered, AVD Spike. Jake turned as a new figure approached. Not military. Robes. Eyes too old for any species. The kind of presence that made gravity forget how to behave. "You authorized it?" Jake asked. The figure didn't blink. "No, I delivered it." "What is it?" "Recompense." Behind them, the ash lifted, sucked upward by unseen force. Gravity screamed. The moon cracked beneath their feet. The figure looked skyward. "They thought it was mercy," he said. Dina whispered. "It wasn't." And that was before Earth even responded. The council chamber sparkled with smugness. High above the gas giant, Kale Sur, suspended in an orbital citadel of translucent crystal and dark alloy, the elite of the galaxy sat cloaked in elegance and arrogance. Every species of consequence was represented. Every empire that mattered. Councillor Drex of the Ukari raised his chalice. "To unity," he said, his voice wet with satisfaction. The Talvarn were a mistake, a rebellious mutation in the fabric of order. Laughter trickled across the tiered platforms. Earth's silence, added High Judge Velmore of the Rhineth Consortium, is proof of submission. They know we were right. Councillor Threem of the Karathi adjusted his breathing spines nervously. Or they're waiting. That quieted the room. Chancellor Voktil of the Torvak Federation leaned forward, scales glittering under the domes, light. Humanity is primitive. Their emotions, volatile. They'll burn themselves before they ever touch us. AVD Spike. The room dimmed, a screen flickered on, unscheduled, unauthorized. A black background. No symbols. No anthem. Just a file. Transmitted by Terran Defense Corps, Black Echo Relay. Encryption, broken deliberately. Message, one-time visual only. Velmore hissed. Security, block it. But the image began, a drone's view, charred terrain, the ruins of the Talvarn homeworld. And then, a human soldier, not posed, not polished, just standing there, in ash and silence. He looked up at the drone. His eyes were tired. And then he spoke. You called it justice. We called it erasure. He paused, blinked. No trial. No warning. You erased an entire civilization. He glanced back where a monument had once stood. This wasn't about law. This was about control. AVD Spike. The soldier stepped aside. Behind him, half buried in the soot, was a surviving Talvarn child, trembling, staring up at the camera with wide, silent eyes. You destroyed our friends. The screen cut to black. Then text appeared. Recompense is not war, it is clarity. And finally, transmission ends. Humanity has spoken. Silence. Not the formal, respectful kind. The kind that slithered into bones. That crawled across the spine and sat on the chest like a weight. Threem whispered, They didn't declare war. No, said Drex, voice dry now. They did something worse. AVD Spike. A soft alarm blinks red on the chamber's central display. Incoming data from the outer perimeter of Torvac space. Unscheduled activity. A single Terran signal. Encrypted. With a pattern never seen before. Decoding, it failed again, and then from the speaker, this is not a request. The chamber descended into noise. Panic. Queries. Demands. But Voktil didn't move. He stared at the blank screen long after it faded. They haven't fired yet, he muttered. Then why do I feel like we've already lost? Because Earth was still silent. And the galaxy was finally listening. The listening post was hidden, not in the shadows of war but far beyond them, curled in the orbit of a dead star, wrapped in static clouds and cloaked frequencies. It was meant to be invisible. It was meant to be safe. It was neither. Pull it again, barked Technician Orzel, his forearms dancing across the interface. The screen blinked, hissed, and resolved. A data feed, pure Terran, clean, intentional, impossible. They had been watching Earth for decades, monitoring comms, mapping fleet deployments, listening for shifts in doctrine. That was the station's entire purpose. But now, Earth was sending them something. Orzel squinted. Why is the signal bouncing through 17 blacklisted? Coordinates? That's a warpath, not a broadcast. Lieutenant Fear stepped forward, fur twitching in alarm. This isn't a transmission. Then what the hell is it? Fur stared at the waveform. It's a countdown. AVD Spike. The room went still. The numbers burned across the console, white on black. 47 euro, 46 euro, 45. Orzel's mandibles clicked nervously. Is this a bluff? Fur tapped a command. No response. Override failed. Power reroute failed. Every system now plays the countdown. A low hum began. It wasn't coming from the equipment. It came from the walls. AVD Spike. Then it stopped. Everything. Lights, power, gravity, even sound. Dead still until a voice filled the room. Ancient, male, human. You should not have watched. A pulse hit the station. Not explosive. Worse. It bent space inward like a crushed can. One by one the watchers turned to glass, flash frozen in horror. Not burned, not destroyed. Preserved, for someone else to find. And above the cracked viewing dome where the dead star loomed, something massive moved into orbit. Not a ship, a sentinel. No engines, no ID, no heat. Only one message pulsed from it. This was not vengeance. This was instruction. AVD Spike. A week later, fragments of the station reached the Torvac military command. Inside the debris was a single file, Audio only. Crackling, static. A voice behind it, laughing. Not cruel, not triumphant, just calm. Humans. They all heard the same line, right before the file corrupted. You erased our friends, so we erased your eyes. The first to burn were the Watchers. The rest would follow. Where are they? Fleet Marshal Zorvak's voice was thundering through the command dome. Officers froze mid-step, eyes glued to holograms and sensor feeds that showed nothing. No signatures, no warp trails, no radiation flares, and yet, their outer colonies were vanishing. 1 per hour. High Admiral Tekra swallowed. We've quadrupled. Scan ranges, layered frequency sweeps, there's nothing. Zorvak glared at the swirling galactic map. Dozens of red pings blinked across the rim, distress signals from listening posts, outposts, refineries. Then silence. No wreckage. No debris. Just gone AVD spike. Any signs of Terran vessels? Zorvak demanded. Tekra hesitated, then pointed. A single dot, drifting near the Black Dagger Nebula. No ID, no heat signature, no drive emissions, just motion. Send recon, I want visual confirmation. An hour later, the footage arrived. A single hull, jet black, matte-skinned, motionless. No name, no visible weapons. It looked ancient and carved along the side in raw, etched metal. What you erased, remembered. Then it vanished. No warp trail, no jump signature. One frame it existed. The next, it didn't. AVD spike. A cold wind seemed to pass through the dome. Artificial, but real. One of the sub-commanders, young, unproven, muttered, "It's like they're already here." Zorvak turned sharply. "What did you say?" The room went still. "We're looking outward," the officer whispered. "But they're not out there." He tapped the air console. Projected across the room was the internal structure of the capital, ship Tyrannex Vale. Zorvak's flagship. One corridor, deep in the lower decks, flickered. Offline. Security sweep deployed. No crew returned. AVD spike. Zorvak issued a fleet-wide lockdown. Weapons armed. Borders sealed. AI surveillance upscaled. Still, no Terran vessels. Just dead air and fear. Until the main view screen shifted. A corridor feed, static. Then a shape. Not armored. Not armed. A human, in black. Standing in the middle of the command deck hallway. Zorvak's eyes widened. Impossible. The figure looked at the camera, then vanished. Tekra gasped. How did they breach containment? Zorvak whispered. They didn't breach. He looked at the swirling stars beyond the dome. They never arrived. AVD spike. That night, 40 Torvak vessels went dark. Their own crews sent the logs, all the same message. We looked for fleets, but Earth sent ghosts. The war hadn't begun. It had already ended. They just hadn't realized it yet. Planet Korthal hadn't heard of war in over 300 years. It was the seat of the Torvak Dominion's military command, protected by 7 planetary shields, 9 orbital rings, and the single most advanced AI-controlled defense array in the galaxy. They called it the Iron Silence, because it neutralized every threat. Before it could speak. Until now. Why is it activating? Engineer Captain Lyren barked into her console, eyes darting across dozens of flickering diagnostics. One after another, defense stations across the orbital belts lit up. Missile silos rose, drone swarms deployed. The sky filled with movement, yet no enemy appeared, no ships, no weapons, no warnings, just everything waking up at once. False alarm? Someone offered. No. Lyren's voice dropped. It's reacting to something, but we can't see. Ictor AVD spike. At Defense Sector 7, automated guns rotated toward open space, targeting coordinates with no mass signatures, then fired. Thousands of rail slugs screamed into the void. No impact. No explosion. Just recoil. And then the alarms changed. Red lights shifted to blue. Systems unlocked. Sequences the engineers hadn't programmed began executing. A whisper echoed from the speakers across every command deck on the planet. Unlocking. Phase 2. Lyran's eyes widened. There is no Phase 2. AVD spike. Then came the power drain. Across the planet, every backup core shunted reserves into a central uplink. Dozens of AIs went dark. Communication relays fell silent. The stars above twisted, and something blocked the second sun. A shadow, but it wasn't a ship. It was a shape. A silhouette that defied classification. No edges, no hull, just absence. A commander screamed through the comms, "We're being boarded!" "All sectors report breach," Liren shouted. "How?" "There's nothing there." AVD spike. In the main dome, the highest-ranking AI, Sentry, began broadcasting into the void. "Identify yourself. This is protected space under the Galactic. Accord, declare your intent." The response was a single word. "Correction." Then the lights went out. One by one, planetary shields fell. Not shattered, deactivated. Like switches flipped by invisible hands. Every orbital camera spun wildly before shutting off. The last visual feed captured a corridor. Empty. Then just for a blink, a face. Humans. Unmasked, calm, he whispered, "You erased our allies. Now, we erase your certainty." AVD spike. And just like that, the iron silence lived up to its name again. But not because it won, because it could no longer speak. The air smelled like fire fruit and rain. Children ran barefoot through the grass of Javrin's central plaza, their laughter echoing beneath the city's glass towers. Above them, banners fluttered, celebrating the council's era of enforcement. "Peace through dominance," the slogan said. Parents raised glasses. Traders bartered joyfully. The wars were far away. Earth was silent. Too silent. AVD spike. A little girl paused mid-spin. She looked up, shielding her eyes. "Why's the sky turning red?" Her mother laughed, distracted. "It's sunset, darling." But it wasn't. Because there was no sun on this side of the planet. Not for another 7 hours. The plaza lights flickered, then buzzed, then died. A hush fell across the festival. One by one, people stopped talking. Their heads tilted skyward. The clouds were glowing, bleeding from blue to deep, visceral crimson. AVD spike. In orbit, the station Helio 1 attempted. Emergency scans, they found nothing. Then everything, the atmosphere was charged, but not electrically. Something was beneath the particles. Something rewriting how light behaved. The senior engineer vomited mid-analysis. "This isn't weather," he croaked. Then the signal came through. Not from Earth. From the child in the plaza. She was still staring upward, eyes glassy, and then she sang, not a known song, not her voice. A transmission, a frequency, words in Terran. You watched them die. Now feel what they felt. AVD spike. Above the capital, a shimmer passed across the sky like rippling glass. Then silence. No sound. Birds froze mid-flight. Leaves stopped rustling. The plaza, thousands of people stared upward, entranced, and one by one they collapsed. Not harmed. Not bleeding, just gone asleep. Every single living being on Javrin, except the children. They remained standing, still, humming, until one turned to the main broadcast camera and spoke with a voice not her own. "We don't need weapons. We need you to remember." She blinked. This was a whisper. AVD spike. At Council High Command, emergency meetings erupted. Javrin was considered untouchable. It had no military value, no defense installations, and Earth had never sent ships. Just a reminder. Not of power, of loss, the kind that doesn't scream. It whispers through children's voices as the sky turns red. "We propose total withdrawal." The voice shook as it echoed through the council hall's emergency chamber. Broadcast. Live across 27 systems. Councillor Drek stood in full regalia, eyes wide with desperation. Behind him, banners of the council were lowered, folded, stacked like apologies. We admit fault, he said. Pause. We accept sanctions. Loss of territory. Reparations. Pause. We only ask for the killing to stop. There was no response. AVD spike. In the vast communication chamber beneath Kelsur Prime, thousands of broadcast channels flickered with messages. Ambassadors recited concessions. Generals offered access codes to planetary defenses. Dozens of VAR cultures unified by fear repeating the same words. We surrender. But the Terran frequency remained dead. No reply. No demands. No acknowledgement. Just a void. In the 4th hour, a new feed broke into the chamber. Unmarked, unscheduled. Black. Screen. One line of text. You erased our friends, you can't surrender from that. AVD spike. In the military zone of Delthari Corps, the fleet commander of System Group 5 gave an order none had dared. All units, shut down weapons, power down engines. Prepare for boarding, maybe they'll show mercy. The lights dimmed, but no ships came. Instead, hull temperatures dropped by 30 degrees in under 5 seconds. Sparks arced. Frost spread from inside the bridge windows. Crew members fell unconscious mid-breath. And in that frozen silence, a single voice whispered through the comm, we're never here for conquest. This is not negotiation. AVD spike. In the Council's archival citadel, historians scrambled to rewrite records. They removed the word justice from the Talvarn incident. They added disclaimers. Apologies 1. Archivist cried as she pressed publish. The lights flickered. Her screen went blank, and a single file appeared on her console. An image. Talvarn children playing beneath orange skies, unedited, undated. Below it. They didn't ask for your laws. They asked for peace. Then the console shattered. AVD. Spike. In their final attempt, the Council broadcast one last plea. Humanity. You win. Just tell us what you want. Silence. Then, after a long, excruciating minute, came the reply. 5 words. We wanted them to live. They tried to surrender, but no one was listening, because Earth was done talking. The salvage vessel Renvox Mercy wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the ash drift. Too many ghosts, too few answers. But the signal was clear. A beacon pinging once every 60 seconds. Old Terran frequency, non-lethal, unencrypted. Probably a probe, muttered Scavenger Captain Yaharn. They found it floating between the broken bones of a dead asteroid field. Black, smooth, humming faintly. No serials, no ID, just a symbol etched, deep into its casing. Infinity AVD spike. The crew brought it aboard. No traps, no alarms. But when they touched it, every light on the ship flickered. A voice whispered from the comms, "Playback begins." They tried to stop it, couldn't. First came the static. Then, a child's voice, not human, Talvarn, laughing, then screaming, then silence, AVD spike. The screen lit up. Footage played. Not battlefield footage, home footage. A Talvarn village, thriving, golden, joyful. Mothers teaching, elders singing. Children running beneath sky crystals that sang with the wind. And then fire. From above. Not from Earth. From the Council's own fleet. The image zoomed in. One Talvarn child, reaching toward the sky as their city burned. She wasn't angry. Just confused. The voiceover began. It wasn't a soldier. It was her. They said we were a threat. But all we ever wanted, it was time. AVD spike. Captain Yaharn clutched the console. This isn't a weapon, he rasped. It's a eulogy. The final scene played. A field of ash, dozens of black boxes identical buried beneath the soil like seeds. Then the last message. We planted memories. You sowed silence. Now harvest the truth. The black box shut down. Lights stabilized. Power restored. Yarn sat in stunned silence. No data to exploit. No coordinates to trace, just a mirror. They thought it would show Earth's movements. Instead, it showed Earth's mourning. AVD spike. They found the black box. It wasn't theirs. and the galaxy was running out of places to hide from what it remembered. Council Prime was fortified to the teeth, every orbital cannon calibrated, every AI sleepless, every ambassador recalled. The room was thick with tension until it shattered. A single chime echoed through the central chamber. Not a siren, a notification, a message had arrived. From Earth, first in 71 days. Incoming transmission, no encryption. One-time link. The leaders leaned in, the screen remained black. Then a voice. Calm, male, middle-aged. No title, no bravado. Just human. We waited. The voice continued. No image. Just breath and heartbreak. We waited for someone, anyone, to say it was wrong. To say what happened to the Talvarn wasn't law. It was a slaughter. The council members fidgeted. Some averted their eyes. You sent fleets. You sent drones. You sent silence. We buried children. A pause. Just long enough to make the air feel heavier. We hoped you'd understand what you took. But you didn't. AVD spike. Counselor Drex leaned forward, trembling. They'd speaking directly to us, the voice resumed. You looked at our silence as weakness. It wasn't. It was mourning. One line of text appeared mid-screen. File attached. Voice of those lost. WAV. The chamber AI flagged it as non-hostile, but the security protocols refused to play it. Too many variables. Too much emotion, so they played it anyway. A child singing. The same voice from the black box, but this time no screams, just a lullaby. Talvarn. Translated into Terran. When stars forget our name, we'll bloom in someone's heart instead. The feed ended. AVD spike. No threats, no fleet movements, no demands, just one final message. We never wanted revenge. We wanted someone to care. The council chamber sat in complete silence, and that was when the lights dimmed. Not from an attack, but because something massive had entered orbit. Quiet, unannounced. A single human vessel. Black as guilt. Silent as grief. Its ID read, Remembrance Class, 1 of 12. The first human voice they heard wasn't angry. I was disappointed. And somehow, that was worse. Council Command ordered a full planetary lockdown, all fleets recalled. Orbital, mines armed, atmospheric scramblers engaged. The Remembrance-class ship hovered above them still, silent, cold, alone. High Judge Velmore stood before the emergency tribunal, voice raw from panic. They're waiting for us to fire, he insisted. They want justification, Counselor Threem whispered. Or, they're waiting for us to understand. AVD spike. For 12 hours, the human ship didn't move. It didn't scan. It didn't even orbit. I just watched. And in those hours, something changed across the galaxy. Colonies began defecting from council control. Empires withdrew from shared war pacts. Even Torvac soldiers started laying down arms, voluntarily. No human weapon had landed. But Earth's silence had become a gravity no one could escape. AVD spike. Inside the Remembrance-class ship, no bridge chatter echoed. Only one terminal glowed. Waiting. Its operator, a human woman in plain gray uniform, typed slowly, in a line. Transmission? Authorized. A file deployed. Not to military targets. To children's learning networks across 83 worlds. A history file. Uneditable. Unskippable. Translated into 70 languages. Title: The Day the Council Erased Kindness. It told the story of the Talvarn, with names, with faces, with laughter recorded before it all ended. The final image, a council meeting, watching footage of burning cities. Captioned, no one stopped it, AVD spike. The feed ended, and then the DB Remembrance ship did something no one expected. It turned around, no weapons discharged, no demands issued. It simply left, back into the void. High Judge Velmore collapsed into his chair. Why didn't they retaliate? Threem closed his eyes. They didn't need to. AVD spike. Across the galaxy, a phrase began to spread like wildfire. Not from Earth? From The People. 3 simple words. We were silent. Not to justify, to remember. Because Earth had shown the galaxy its own reflection, and let it break itself. And still, Earth never fired the first shot. But they were the last name anyone dared whisper.